Welcome to Uncanny X-Minutes, where we bring you the comics behind the movies. I'm Producer James.
And I'm Stasia.
And we're watching X2 X-Men United, minutes 00 to 10.
Are we going to say X2 X-Men United every time we talk about this movie?
You can do. I'm not going to tell you what to do. All right. Whatever makes you feel comfortable. I just get a kick out of the fact this is called X2.
It's actually, I am a lover of Too Fast, Too Furious. So
And those are with the number 2.
Exactly. I'm swayed by clever, like
this
X-Men
is not
titles.
Clever.
Yeah, I guess. But it's at least a little different. It's not just X-Men 2.
It's true.
So, do you want to know what happens in the first 10 minutes, James?
Do tell.
We've got Nightcrawler infiltrating the White House and attempting to attack the president. He fails, but he gave it a good old college try.
Sure did.
Wolverine discovers a wolf at Alkali Lake.
That's all that's there.
Should be a Wolverine, not a wolf, but whatever. We won't even talk about that.
Nobody knows what a Wolverine looks like. He is more described as a wolf than he ever is as a Wolverine.
I know, but it's just wrong. And then finally, the ex-students are on a field trip at the museum where Pyro starts to get into an altercation, but then the 10 mans are up.
Yeah. He's almost about to fire up an altercation, if I may.
You may. I'll allow it.
So, starting X2. Fun story. I'm going to start with a fun story. I think I may have said it in episode 0, and I'm going to tell it again now.
Yes.
I met my wife at the opening night screening of X2 X-Men United. So I know the date this was released. Anybody gives me trivia, when was X2 released? I can tell you it's May 2nd, 2003.
Wow.
Off the cuff every time, because that's when I met my wife.
Killing it.
Did not know her before that day. Went on I had tickets to go see it. I sent my best friend, go to the movie theater. It was the big town over. It wasn't even the small town I lived in. And he accidentally had 2 extra tickets. So we found some random ladies that...
Really?
It was sort of a friend of a friend situation.
I see.
So like my friend that went to that college wasn't there, was hanging out with a roommate. She knew my wife's friend from a class. So it's my friend's roommate's friend's friend. So I started dating.
That's a real X-Men relationship background.
Yeah. We said, do you want to go see X-Men? And they said yes.
Huge.
And then got into a stranger's van. It was my van. We don't tell the kids that one.
I mean,
don't get in strangers' vans unless you're going to go see an X-Men movie.
I mean, yeah, that's fair. I don't have any particular association with X2. I just know I saw it in theaters like the other one, but it was so long ago.
I have pretty... I think I can remember every X-Men movie I've seen in theaters, what the circumstances were. But that one is the biggest one.
The problem with 2003 is I was in 7th grade, so literally dating myself.
Man, you're making me feel old. I was a freshman in
Sorry.
college.
So, it gets a little blurry what I was doing. I'm sure my dad took me.
I met my future wife and you were in middle school.
Junior high.
Barely.
Sorry. Anyway. But I think the big... love this. The big thing about this intro, the first 10 minutes, is the thing that takes up the most time, which is Nightcrawler.
Oh, yes, it is. The entire Nightcrawler attack is probably 6 or 7 minutes of this first 10.
And then the other thing that I want to point out, which is absolutely the opposite, where he gets no time, but he is near and dear to my heart, which is Artie Maddicks. There's just the kid that sticks out his tongue, and they call him Artie. And I'm like, I know who that is, even though he doesn't look anything like Artie does in the comics.
No, he doesn't.
I have an excuse for this.
Oh, okay. So you have a no prize for this?
I have a no prize for this. Okay, so let's...
If you don't know what a no prize is, it's basically an excuse for why something is incorrect in a book or movie continuity-wise, that explains why it actually is in continuity. And you came up with an explanation and you get no prize for it.
So Artie Maddicks, let's give a little bit of background, is a character who is a kid in X Factor number 2. He's introduced in X Factor #2. So that's like the original. That's like Jean Grey and Cyclops, and when they leave the X-Men. He is like a kid, and he hangs out with like a couple other teens, particularly Leech is like his best friend. He's in a lot of stuff, but there's also like Rusty, Skids, Richter, who you might have seen in X-Men Evolution. He's got his own little team or whatever.
Yeah.
The cool part about Artie is that he gets a power bracelet thing, which actually will make him look like he's a regular person.
So an image inducer.
Exactly.
Which, funnily enough, Nightcrawler uses a lot.
He does, and there's one in X-Men Evolution as well.
Exactly.
And so, because Artie Maddicks kind of has like this like overly enlarged head, he kind of looks like, honestly, like a traditional alien a little bit, but like lumps.
like a gray alien,
yeah,
almost.
Except he's like pink,
but
he's got lumps on his head.
But
so.
like not even like almost magenta.
Yeah, ish.
Yeah.
But
I'm saying like it almost doesn't look skin colored. That's what I want to say. It's like an overly pink.
Yeah, for sure. Alien for sure. He's like a really cute kid, effectively. Like, it's just, but the long and short of it is he has an image inducer. So my argument is he's wearing the image inducer.
Absolutely.
So there's not a ton to talk. I mean, Artie has a lot of stuff that goes on with him.
Because he's always like nearby, right?
Yeah,
like, when a lot of the stuff happens.
He's with X Factor for a while, and then the Exterminator, and then he hangs out a lot with Franklin Richards, actually. Okay. So he like ends up with the Fantastic Four for a while.
He's hanging out with X kids.
Yeah, he's hanging out with
mutant children.
Kids. And like, it's not. I'm gonna say it's not super relevant, but I do want to point. I just wanted to point him out and just let you guys know that this is a beloved character.
They called him by name. That's why it's relevant.
Exactly. They called him by name, and he's very beloved.
It's like in the first movie when they say John, and both of me and you are like, "Oh, that's Pyro."
That's Pyro.
I mean, he also is doing fire, but still.
Yeah, but his name is John, so it's like it double confirmed. Yeah. That's who it was. Like Artie is 11 when he joins up with X Factor, so he's supposed to be like a really young kid, and it matches. I think the tongue. I don't know what's up with that. The
image inducer. Thing.
Sure, why not?
Maybe he. Okay, so here's what I remember about Artie is that he's mute.
Yes, he uses pictures.
Just sticking out his tongue works, and he communicates with visual telepathy.
Yeah, he like makes people like see like pictures and stuff.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
It's like Pictionary as a power.
It's a really cool power. And
so I mean, the fact he would stick out his tongue, maybe he has a forked tongue. We don't know.
That's totally possible.
I'm gonna no prize it as well.
I think I've seen pictures where him smiling and stuff, and I don't think I've seen a forked tongue, but who knows? Anyway, but yeah, I just wanted to point that out before we jump back into Nightcrawler, because most of this is today we're going to talk about Nightcrawler.
Well, I mean, how can you not? Because he is a very beloved character, and he has one of the strongest starts to an X-Men movie ever.
That's okay.
You don't like it?
Listen. It's a very strong start in an X-Men movie.
Okay.
For this kind of movie, the movie that it is, it works.
Yeah.
This is, to me,
not your favorite.
Not Nightcrawler.
Oh, no, it's not, though. But it's not. I mean, do you mean movie wise or this opening scene wise?
The movie. The whole.
Okay.
I mean, there's some parts of him that I pick up.
But that's most of what we're here to talk about is how none of them are the same.
And that's why we're going to talk about it. I am a Nightcrawler stan.
Yeah.
So this is like hard for me because I'm like, don't let your preferences for Nightcrawler, of which I have a lot, color this. I think like, so I'm gonna pull back.
Give me just, let's just start with a brief like elevator pitch of who Nightcrawler is as a character.
Sure. Nightcrawler is a mutant like Toad that we've talked about previously, who was born with his mutation. So it's super rare. So he's always been blue and he's always been an outsider. He was abandoned and primarily like raised, depending on the continuity, either by a Romani woman and was taught like sword playing skills and circus. Actually, this circus thing, very similar to Toad too, actually.
Yeah.
Or sometimes in a church, depending on the continuity. And then he is
I think it's usually circus, and like one or two things have said
exactly.
church.
It's primarily circus.
It's mostly circus, yeah.
And then he's furry, blue, kind of has a demonish look, but he is super Catholic. That is always consistent. He is a ladies' man.
Not from like issue 1 consistent, but once they started writing into it, very consistent.
Yeah.
Once they brought it up.
He's a ladies' man, and he's super fun and swashbuckling. Like, Nightcrawler pulls the ladies. Okay, this is an absolute requirement for me.
This is a fact. The more I dig into it, you're not wrong.
Oh, I know I'm not wrong.
And the swashbuckling, absolutely. Required.
Favorite costume is his pirate one. Okay? This is a literal full pirate costume.
A lot of the comics, he's a fan of Errol Flynn.
Yes.
Is what it ends up being, who is an old movie star.
Yeah.
And so there are times where he has an image inducer. So when they go out in public, he looks like a person. He will literally look like Errol Flynn. And they'll be like, you got to stop doing that, man. You can't look just like him.
And he's also German. Mm-hmm. It's a big part too. Like he has like a lot of like
His name's
German.
Kurt Wagner.
Thank you. And he sometimes they'll have him do like kind of accented things that are in say little German phrases.
Right.
He's the heart, if you were Captain Planet, of the X-Men.
He is the spirit. He is the liveliness. He should be the levity of this movie.
He should. He absolutely should be.
He has like, it's not in this minute, it's definitely later. There's like one moment where he says he was the Incredible Nightcrawler, and that's it. That's like the only point where he is almost smiling.
Yeah.
But we don't get that in the first 10 minutes, and that is plot reasons.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
And he's a teleporter. And he makes little bamf noises, which they didn't put in. They made little like popping sounds. It's not bamf.
It's not the full on bamf. I will agree with you. It is poof is really the name. It should be more of a crack. Like there should be like something
Snappy.
in there this time. Yeah. I think the clouds should be a little more smokier, just based on the way the comics look.
Yeah. I mean, and obviously, like, it's not going to be exactly 1-for-1. But again, I'm biased. I love Nightcrawler, so I'm going to put my foot down about it.
But he is incredibly agile.
Yes.
And acrobatic. And that is shown throughout this entire opening sequence.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they don't play this up in the movie, but I really like how similar his fighting style is to Mystique.
Yes.
Okay. I'm not going to talk about Mystique and Nightcrawler's relationship till the end of this podcast, right at the end, because there are major spoilers for a very, very, very recent X-Men Blue comic.
Well, so X-Men Blue Origins came out a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
And it changed some stuff in his background, and we're not going to talk about it right now, but we are going to talk about it at the end of this podcast. So we'll give you a full on spoiler alert when we're about to talk about it, and you can just shut off the episode.
Yeah, and just
because
feel good
come
about
back to it later after you've read it if you are planning at all on reading this one.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. Great. So
back to it. So appearance wise,
yes,
pretty good.
The tail is good.
The tail's good. The fingers look good. Like the hands look good. They made him in like a very penitent character with like drawing symbols into himself.
Yeah.
I don't care for, but
that's like a Catholic thing with like the self like flagellation, like some sex, not all Catholics obviously, but like some like really intense sex.
Sure.
We actually have a church here that is.
Oh really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in
just
Chicago.
around the corner here.
Yeah.
It's like you're pointing like you don't want them to see where you're pointing.
I know. It's like not too far. They can hear us podcasting. But yeah, like the
he's never had that in the comic books. Like it's I don't think it was necessary. It looks cool. Like I get why they're doing it.
Yeah. But in the comics he's furry.
But that is the thing.
Yeah.
And it's weird though, because if you look at the comics, it's not like Beast furry.
No.
It's not like a long-haired
It's a velvet.
furry. Yes, right? It's almost like what a mink would be or something. Like
a lot
really,
of his ladies describe him as velvety. That's how I know.
It's just like I would say like a short, silky, like indigo fur. Because they refer to him as furry all the time. This is not something, there is something that they introduced and then kind of forget most of the time. That is not one of those things.
Yeah.
Like him being furry is always a thing. There is one power he has, which is he's almost invisible in shadow.
Yes.
Which gets forgotten about a lot. So,
and I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
I can let that go because
But-
comic book writers forget about it.
in some more recent comics, it's funny to see someone like he's an uncanny Spider-Man right now.
Yes.
And there is a panel where they're like, it's a rarely documented thing that he's
can do.
near invisible in the shadow. And I was like, that's funny.
And let's talk about that actually, about him being Spider-Man. It's
Oh, you want to go to the recent stuff? Okay.
a little bit, but I just want to say this is what we mean by levity.
Yeah.
He is so funny in the comics. He's so light and he's so goofy that they literally just made him Spider-Man.
They just gave him a Spider-Man costume.
And it works perfectly. And that's what I were trying, like, that's, I think, a really good explanation of his personality, because Spider-Man is so known and so beloved.
Yeah.
And you guys know that Spider-Man is a jokester, kind of the vibe that he gives off. Kurt is exactly the same.
Imagine if Spider-Man was a ladies' man. That it's because
Yes.
it is he's joking, but it's in such a suave way.
Yes.
Like if he could swing down and pick up a lady, she'd want to kiss him as we are swinging.
Absolutely. 100%. All that awkwardness that Peter Parker has does not have from Nightcrawler. I mean, not to say that he isn't somebody who has at points of his life struggled with his appearance and like most mutants have. Absolutely. But honestly, more often than not, he is written as generally like pretty comfortable, and most women love him. He's written as confident.
Yeah. Well, and that is going back to the circus days.
Right.
Where he is the center of attention. He is the highlight of the show. Like, he is that showman. So when he is with the X-Men, he's still got that bravado. But if they're in like everyday situation, you know, he might get a little down on himself if he doesn't have his image reducer, or, you know, he feels out of place or whatever.
Yeah.
He does have some vulnerabilities.
For sure. And then that comes with being a mutant. And
Sure.
also like his struggle with because he is like Daredevil religious, that there's a lot of tensions between him and what the X-Men do sometimes, or what Professor Xavier chooses to do, or sometimes it's Magneto, whatever. I do think that he seems too scary in these first scenes for me.
Yeah, well,
The teeth thing?
plot-wise, he is being mind controlled.
Yeah. That's
So
true.
we have to talk about that later.
We'll talk about that later.
When he's more himself.
But you know what? That's not a bad. I guess like we'll keep that in mind. That like that is a little bit to give the movie some credit. There is like, as a comic book reader, and I'm seeing that, you'd be like, oh my
What's
gosh,
he doing?
Like you're like, that's
how did they
he's
write him?
Yeah, exactly. Like that
Yeah.
would be kind of concerning, right?
Yeah.
And then they have like the knife where it's like mutant freedom now, which with the red, it's like very mutant liberation front to me.
Yes.
Yeah. So like that stuff is there and it's tied in, but. Whew.
But it is a good introduction to this character's powers and how cool he can be.
Yes. It's like the short range teleportation.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that is the part of his deal, is that he can teleport, but he has to see where he's going, because otherwise he could get stuck in a wall, is basically what they keep saying. It becomes a plot point later in the movie, but it is he can do teleportation if he's not seeing if he's familiar.
Yes.
Like I believe in, was it Second Coming maybe? He teleports Hope from Vegas to San Francisco. Like he does one really big jump, and it takes it completely out of him.
I'm trying to think.
And then during
Krakoa, doesn't he teleport to Mars?
Yes, I think he
I think he does. But he's been there.
But he's been there. He has to be
Yeah.
familiar with where he's
Yeah.
going. I know there was one where they were trying to get someone from one place to another, and they have panel after panel after panel of like short burst, like multiple short burst teleportation, where he's trying to travel long distances, but he's doing it in a bunch of bursts.
Yeah.
And earlier on, I think he had trouble teleporting with people, if I recall.
Yes. So there's a couple of things with that. One, it takes a lot out of you, and also it takes a lot out of the person who's being teleported
Correct.
as well. So sometimes like I think that was part of the issue. The other thing is, depending on the continuity. So I think this is Ultimates. I'm not positive, but I think it's Ultimates, where he has the ability, if he wanted to grab somebody's head, teleport with it, and they would die. He would just bring their head.
Sounds like an Ultimates thing.
I think he did do that in the Ultimates. I was like pretty sure. I was like, that's not something I've ever read.
It could be in like the 2000s, like the mid 2000s when things were a little darker.
Yeah.
But I haven't read that.
But I know that is a thing that he could do. But from my understanding, he has not done it in the 616. So it's
if we
gotta
find it,
be-
we'll come back to you
if
with
we
it,
do.
but-
But I don't think it's super relevant.
No.
But I think that's also part of the concern, right? Because if when he's trying to teleport with people, there's also a danger of leaving parts behind, because that is how his powers work.
One of the times he's died was basically a robot arm going through his chest, because he teleported right, like it was a Nimrod, put his arm right where, or was it Bastion?
It was
Bastion.
It was Bastion.
He put his arm right where he knew Nightcrawler was going to teleport. And so
so
he got his arm right in his chest. And then he died.
That was the Hope stuff. When
Yeah,
he
that was the
teleports
Hope
her
stuff.
to Utopia.
But then there's like this really good run of Amazing X-Men, I think it is, where he is in heaven swashbuckling.
Yes.
Against like a demon version of his father.
Yeah.
Amazing. Anyway.
I also want to pitch, in the Krakoan era, he has like a sub-series called Legion of X. And I think that is such a really good... there's a short series that leads up to Legion of X, which is Way of X, which is him struggling to kind of invent a religion for a post-death world. And as somebody who was because he's so religious, it plays with that, and then it leads into Legion of X. It's so good.
It's so good.
And I think that those runs are just so, and then Legion of X leads into the Spider-Man Nightcrawler. So you could just pick that all up.
and this is all that, like, this is all side stuff. This is absolutely not what's going on. Like, if you just wanted to follow main continuity, that's not what this is.
No.
And it's some of the best stuff.
I agree. I think Legion of X is one of the best issues I've read. It's got a lot of Legion in it. That's why it's called Legion of X. But you could read Way of X, Legion of X. Then you would have to read...
There's some stuff in there.
You have to read the Hellfire Galas. But if you did that, you could go straight into Spider-Man.
Right.
And they're really
you could go into Spider-Man. It tells you what happens in the beginning of the book.
Yeah, but don't spoil yourself like that. Enjoy the Krakoan ride now that it's over.
I'm still in the fall right now.
Yeah, same.
Anyway.
But yeah, like, I think those are, like, there are some other stuff with...
Yeah, he's been in Excalibur.
Huge
run in Excalibur.
That's actually the Excalibur run that I really like, obviously.
It's where he leaves the X-Men and he starts working with... But what's Excalibur's deal at that point?
They're in Britain, and they're working with Captain Britain, and they're doing, like... It's honestly kind of just like silly adventures. Kitty Pryde is with them too. And they're doing just like kind of like, there's like the time jump. There's Rachel Summers. It's Rachel Summers, Captain Britain, the guy, because there's a couple of different
Brian
ones. Brian Braddock, and not Betsy. And then there's Megan, and who else? And then Kitty Pryde. And then, I think that's it. And they're kind of doing like adventures in Otherworld.
Okay.
They kind of go in and out. So they kind of do some British stuff, but a lot of that stuff is happening in like fantasy worlds. Like there's like pirate ships and stuff like that. And it's super fun. It's just like a different vibe. Anyway, I'm a big fan of that original Excalibur run. It's really, really good. And it's honestly unfortunate because that's where he got exiled when writers didn't really like him and wanted to do more Wolverine.
Wolverine?
I know, right?
So I want to talk a little bit about his origin story, because like he got introduced in Giant Size X-Men #1 with everyone else.
Yeah.
His page where he's introduced is him being chased in Bavaria by villagers with pitchforks and torches. Just straight up Frankenstein's monster.
Yeah.
Let's burn him. But his actual origin, it was teased a bunch here and there and everywhere. And then eventually in X-Men Unlimited #4, it gets revealed that we've talked about this before. This isn't a really big reveal for here, but Mystique is his mom.
Yeah.
And it gets revealed to him by Graydon Creed, which is also a son of Mystique's.
Yes.
So
Mystique and Sabretooth.
So this story has Mystique, Nightcrawler, and Rogue. So it's like the family of Mystique is all hanging out together.
Wow.
But yeah, he's like, no, this is what happened. And the way this story goes is Mystique was in human form, like pretending to be a woman who was married to like a count.
Yeah.
By the name of Wagner. And they couldn't have a kid. They couldn't have a child. And probably his fault. And obviously his fault. Because Mystique's had children.
Yeah.
So she starts sleeping around on him with Azazel, which is basically a red Nightcrawler.
He's like a
He
literal
looks
demon.
like a literal demon with
yeah.
like red-skinned literal demon.
Yeah.
She gets pregnant. The Count gets a little suspicious.
Yep.
That all of a sudden she's pregnant.
Yeah.
So Mystique kills him to keep her identity, and then gives birth to Kurt. And in the process of childbirth, turns into her blue-skinned self.
Yeah.
Everybody freaks out. She runs away with the baby, and then eventually, as she's running away, turns into one of the village people and goes, I threw her down the waterfall. I'm going to do the same to this baby. And then throws the baby.
Yeah.
And Kurt's fine, and a gypsy woman finds him, and that's the mother that we've talked about previously.
Yes, that's Margali Sardis.
Thank you. So that was the origin for a long time.
Yeah.
Now is the time in the podcast that if you have not read X-Men Blue or Origins Blue,
X-Men Origins Blue.
X-Men,
I don't know.
I think it's
One or the
X-Men
other.
Origins Blue. Now is the time you can turn off the show.
Turn off the podcast.
This is spoiler alerts. We're going to be talking about this book right now. It's X-Men Blue Origins.
Yeah, there it
Okay.
is.
So we're going to be talking about X-Men Blue Origins #1. From now to the end of the podcast, you have been fully warned. Spoilers ahoy.
And then let me tell you, if you have not read it, I know we want you to listen to this podcast, turn it off. Just listen. If you're this interested and you're listening to an X-Men podcast and you have not read this book,
It's just one issue.
just read it. Just read it.
If you are interested in the content that we're talking about and you would like to experience yourself, go read it right now.
Please.
You've been warned. They all gone? Fine.
Awesome. This book is crazy. Okay? Like,
I've been waiting this whole time to talk about it right now.
to explode out about this book.
Yeah.
Do you want
Yeah.
to give the rundown or do you want me to give the rundown?
You can give it feels like you want to give the rundown.
I don't really care, but I'll do it. Basically,
Very similar setup as to what
Yes.
I just described.
Yes.
One big difference.
the big difference is that Mystique is not Nightcrawler's mother.
Well, I would start with Destiny's there,
That's true.
which has never been revealed before.
Yes.
Destiny's been a maid there, just kind of in the background.
Yes. And
And so they've been off to the side canoodling this whole time.
a lot under the nose of the Count.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what it is revealed is that Mystique is not, in fact, Nightcrawler's mother. Destiny is Nightcrawler's mother.
Say what?
And you might think to yourself,
Well, that's weird.
why would that be the case? Because he looks like Mystique.
Yeah.
That's because Mystique is Nightcrawler's dad.
So it's not Azazel.
It's not. It is Azazel thinking that Nightcrawler's his son is actually kind of part of the plot a
Yeah.
little bit because he gets a lot of benefits from him. It doesn't matter. Nobody cares about Azazel.
No one does.
It's a huge reveal. It's also a huge reveal about Mystique's powers because she's not just a shapeshifter.
right.
She is what they call a gene shifter. Her powers are more intense and more insane than people could ever realize. What she did was she created like a new person based out of every person that she's touched. Their genes, cobbled them together to make a new person in order to father a child with her longtime wife, Destiny. And that child is Nightcrawler.
Crazy.
Let me tell you.
Okay, first off, I'm gonna tell you this got spoiled for me when I was researching Mystique.
That is so sad.
It is so sad.
I'm so sorry that happened.
I didn't realize they would change the Wikipedia page so fast. Just doing some preliminary work. Where should I start reading? And there it is.
Yeah, I didn't do that. I didn't do any kind of prelim work at all. One, because I did know a lot about Mystique to begin with, but
Yeah.
two, like I also just knew that there was like I hadn't read the stuff yet, and I was catching up to the end of Krakoan era, so I was like, I don't want any spoilers, so I was like
Right.
really careful. But somebody had to do the Wikipedia work, and it was you, James. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
It's one of the best retcons I've ever heard.
It's amazing because they also change. So, like, one of the things is, why do people see Mystique in her true form? And the previous story was due to the stress of childbirth, she couldn't hold on to her fake form.
right.
And with this one, I love it. It's the skin to skin contact. It's touching the baby for the first time. One of the things as a parent you're supposed to do is skin to skin contact with the baby. Mm-hmm. And she wanted it to be her true form.
She did. I think like her line in the book is like, I didn't want my son's his eyes open, and the first thing he sees is a lie.
Right.
It's like, it's so
good. It paints Mystique in a much better light than a lot of the previous
And
things.
let's be honest, like the whole Nightcrawler is like actually a demon. kind of ruins the character a little bit, because the whole point of mutants and this stuff was like, he might look like it, but he's not. Nightcrawler's such a nice person. He's such a good guy. To make him like actually half demon devil is so missing the plot that I cannot even understand why they did it in the first place.
Right. So then they also change a few things. One is when they see that, that's when the people who work in this manor attack them. And Destiny's like, go ahead, take the kid and go. Take our baby and leave. I'll be fine. So
just to recap, Destiny's powers is she can see the future. Let's just like, I need to say that.
So Mystique runs, and she runs with a baby, and she puts Kurt down like in the nook of a tree and is like, I will be right back. I have to go get my wife. I will be right back. So she goes in. Destiny's there, right? Like she's gone.
She's dead.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
So she's dead, and when she comes back, Kurt's gone.
Yeah.
So Mystique is just alone.
And it's just so sad.
Oh, heartbreaking.
It's
heartbreaking.
Breaking.
And then I think that it ends out with them getting Rogue adopting Rogue.
Adopting Rogue. And then you have like this big full circle of like Destiny and Mystique and like rebuilding a family with like another child that's like been cast out or like that needs a home, and like them being her parents. And then you can just start at the X-Men comics that we talked about. We talked about Rogue.
Yep.
It's incredible.
And so what ends up happening is the way that they retcon the old story too is that Mystique and Destiny are with Professor X, and she goes, I need you to take the memory out.
Yes.
I can't know that I left my child behind, that she allowed me to leave him behind, knowing everything that was going to happen. And he's like, I can, but it's so ingrained with everything that's going on, you're going to sort of misremember things.
And it's going to make you feel worse in some ways.
Yeah. So that's what ended up happening. So the old story is the like unreliable narrator.
Yes.
Because it is in X-Men Unlimited number 4. It is Mystique telling the story.
Right.
It isn't like beginning the book like, here is what happened. It is her admitting to what happened both times. Mm-hmm. So I'll take it. You know?
Absolutely. I know I started this whole podcast being like, I don't like retcons, but these are the kind of retcons I like, where it's like, it actually makes it makes the story so much better to do it this way.
Everyone feels like a real character.
Right. Destiny and Mystique have been in a relationship for so long, and it makes so much more sense. And also it adds to the heartbreak of losing Nightcrawler for Mystique, because like that is a child with Destiny that they like were so excited about. Like she drops her identity just for the skin to skin contact, like he said. Like Nightcrawler was so important, and that has a huge effect on Nightcrawler too, because he's like, you know, he realizes that his parents didn't just abandon him.
Right. And Mystique didn't throw a baby down a waterfall.
Yeah.
What? Yikes.
Yeah. So,
because I think the old story is that Azazel ends up rescuing him.
I think something
is one
like
of
that.
the retcons of it.
I don't know.
Whatever. But it's all wrong now.
Yeah.
That's the thing. With an origin story like that, it gets retold a few times. Mm-hmm. And it makes this retcon maybe a little messy. But let's be honest, from now on, that's the story. That's the story we're going to stick with.
It makes a lot more sense. And like Destiny and Mystique have had such a huge part of the Krakoan era, that it makes sense to have the story like be solidified this way. And it also kind of makes Nightcrawler falling in love with like his sister thing later,
his adopted
a little
sister.
bit better.
Falls in love with his adopted sister, Amanda Sefton.
Jermaine Sardos.
Well, she changes her name.
Yes, but she changes it to
But
Amanda
most
Sefton.
people would know Amanda Sefton.
Amanda Sefton, yeah absolutely.
Ew. So anyway, we went a little over there at the end, but
that's for you guys. That's for you that have read this, right? Because you wouldn't be here if you didn't read this comic book, right?
Well, we do admit most of the time that you don't need to read the comics. Don't let her pressure you.
I will.
I mean, if you're going to read a comic, this is a good one to read.
It's a good one, especially if you like Mystique.
Yeah. It's during the Uncanny Spider-Man era too, so she's admitting all this to Spider-Man.
Yeah,
is he the creepy crawler? Is that what they call him? There's a few different names I think they throw around. I think that's what he might end up sticking.
There's a couple of different ones.
It's early in the run. I'm going to admit it.
Yeah, it's really good.
Anyway.
All right. I think that's it for us.
Well, that'll wrap it up for this week. I'm producer James.
And I'm Stasia.
And we'll see you for the next 10.